Job Creators Network believes that the best defense against bad government policy is a well-informed public. Explain a little bit more about what that means and how JCN does that.
Sure, and that's a great question. I mean, we really believe that the public overall is not informed, and I think a lot of times they make decisions based on rationale that just doesn't exist because they just don't understand what's going on. The Affordable Care Act, I think, was a great example of that, where people didn't know what was going on. The famous quote, right? You need to actually vote for it and pass it to see what's in it, right? Is a great example of just how uninformed our public can be, and unfortunately can lead to really detrimental, unintended consequences in the case of the Affordable Care Act. As good as the fact that we have millions of people that now have coverage, tens and millions of people were actually negatively impacted by that.
So can you talk a little bit more about how this was started and kind of the vision?
Yeah,
sure.
So Job Creators Network has been around for about 3 years. It was started by Bernie Marcus, who is the co-founder of the Home Depot. And Bernie's story is an amazing story, right? He is really one of those great entrepreneurial American dream type stories. He was fired actually at 48 and started at Home Depot with one store in Atlanta at 52. And now it is an amazing success. Hires, I think it employs nearly 400,000 people. And really has just been one of those examples of great entrepreneurialism in this country. But the one thing Bernie always says now in the environment today, if he tried to relaunch Home Depot and do what he did back then, he could not do it in the environment that exists today.
Interesting. So you just launched an initiative on small business.
We did.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that, and then what's next?
Sure. It's the Bring Small Business Back campaign. And we believe fundamentally, if you look at some of the data by the Gallup Foundation, by the Kauffman Foundation, that more businesses, small businesses, are being closed and are being created. So if you take that as kind of that proxy of entrepreneurialism, that's a really scary proxy, right? Because it basically means that we have a negative rate of entrepreneurialism in this country. And when 70% of jobs are with small business owners, I don't know how we're going to get the country back on track with that kind of issue, right? So we believe that the primary reasons that exist, and we confirmed this through a national study we did of small business owners, that overregulation, overtaxation, and a lack of access to capital are the three primary things that are holding back the vitality of our small businesses in this country today.
Wow. So Pitbull is involved with this. He seems like a surprising addition to the team. Can you talk a little bit about why he got involved and what it's like working with him?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's great. So been involved, working with him a little bit on stuff, and Bernie Marcus as well. We were down in Miami. Pitbull is an entrepreneur. I mean, he is a very, very successful entrepreneur. As much as he is a success from a talent standpoint in the entertainment industry, he really is a successful businessman. And so, we teamed Bernie Marcus and Pitbull up, and looking at education, what we can do also for education. That's another part that he's very near and dear to his heart, is how do we fix the education system in this country. So from both perspectives, it really met what we're doing and the goals and objectives that we're doing in terms of trying to fix our education system, as well as talking about small business growth.
Do you listen to his music?
I do. I like it.
What's your favorite song?
Let's see. What would be my Fireball, I guess.
Nice. You yourself have a really incredible story of working hard. Can you tell our students a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, well, I mean, I really say that I know that my life's been blessed, truly, from that perspective. I never planned things, quite frankly, to turn out the way they have. I started really with nothing growing up. And, my mom and I used to go around on trash day and literally picking through trash and aluminum cans, newspapers. We would fill the trunk up of her car. And then we would go over to the YMCA and we'd cash it in. And that was our grocery money for the week. And so to go from that to being able to be the first one to finish high school and college and grad school, have these fantastic jobs. I mean, I wish I could say that was all planned. Somewhat was, but really was, I think the big thing was being able to identify opportunities and jump on those opportunities that came around. Being willing to take some risk, not necessarily knowing if it's going to turn out the way you expect, but at least being able to take those risks and just going for it in many cases. And then also I think being able to fix them when they don't work out, right? I mean, you fix quickly, right? You just don't dwell over the mistake. You got to try to fix it quickly. But I mean, overall, it's been a great journey for me. Yeah.
So we mentioned, identifying opportunities, other skills that you think have contributed to your success.
Being a problem solver, right? I mean, in many cases, right? Because within my jobs, right, problem solving skills is just critical, right? And so being able to really think through, I've always had a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, because again, you never quite know how things are going to work out. So being smart enough to have plans that go, hey, if this doesn't quite work out this way, we can go ahead and shift this way or shift back this way. And being able to have those plans thought out and laid out, I think is one of the most critical things. Okay. Being thoughtful, well-connected.
That always helps.
Yeah, that always helps, right? I mean, and part of it is just forcing those connections many times, reaching out. I think overall, I've realized in my career, people want to help others. They just need to be asked. And one thing my mother taught me is never be shy and be willing to ask for help. Worst thing someone can say is no. And that's not too bad of a worst side scenario. Yeah. And so I'm always asking people for help. And even in this job, I'm always outreaching and asking folks for support. And more times than not, you'll get it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very encouraging. So and you've done consulting, marketing, product development. How have you remained so nimble, jumping from all these different jobs?
Well, first of all, I like change.
Okay.
So that's the big thing. I mean, I do like change. I think it keeps you thinking fast and keeps you on your toes. So being able to embrace change, I think, is one of the most important things. Not being fearful of things you don't know how to do. I think if you're smart and you apply yourself, you'll learn how to do things. If you just have a certain attitude about just taking risk and knowing, hey, I may not know exactly how to pull this off right now, but I believe enough in myself that I can figure it out. I think it's been one of the biggest reasons why I think I've been able to succeed in being, as you call it, nimble from going from one job to another. And I do like that. I like being able to expand my experiences across different categories of work, different industries. To me, it just adds to my overall experience.
Yeah. So let's just talk a little bit about kind of what our students can be doing, because King's mission is to influence strategic institutions, and you've done that. You've testified in the state senate. You've written articles for Breitbart. You've been on the radio. Right. You've done a lot of different things. What do you think is the best way to make a difference and to influence the culture?
Well, first of all, it's believing that you can make a difference.
Okay.
I think a lot of people go, what can I do? I'm just one person in a sea of people, and one person can make a difference. I just fundamentally believe that. And one person can influence others. And even though, for example, if you look at Job Creators Network, we're a team of 7 folks.
Wow.
But we have access and influence so many others that can then influence others and can help the cause and help the mission. So I think being able to believe in that, like I said, and believing that you can have that influence, even though you're just one person, I think is the first step. Right, and then just believing in yourself, believing in what you're doing. I've always told people, don't do something you don't like doing, that you don't believe in, because you're not going to do a good job at it.
Yeah.
You got to be passionate about what you're doing. I joke with people that I'm available 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's pretty much true. I mean, I do this job about 7 days a week. I sleep midnight to 4, 4:15, because I love doing it. I'm passionate about what we're doing.
Wow.
You have to do, right? We got to do something about what's going on in this country. And the only way you're going to achieve success is if you're passionate about it. And so the team that we have, for example, every single person on the team is passionate about what they're doing and about what the organization is doing.
And you obviously have an incredible platform for that. What can students who maybe don't have that kind of opportunity, what can they be doing here and now to make a difference?
I actually think students can have that opportunity. I mean, again, don't be afraid of reaching out to somebody, even though you may not know them. I have an example where I reached out to the former chairman of Procter & Gamble, for example, because I read a book, and in that book he said, I believe in being a mentor to those that need it. So I called him up, I called his office, kind of a long shot. 3 weeks later he called me back, and he said, how about having breakfast here in New York? I flew out here, had breakfast with him, and I point blank asked him, in your book you say, you like being a mentor for folks that ask you, so I'm asking you, would you be my mentor? And he said, yes. You just never know, right? I mean,
wow.
So I think just because you're a student, you shouldn't think, I can't do this, they're not going to take my call. In fact, I think for more reasons, because you're students, people will take your call, and people are willing to help. So there should be, I personally believe there should be nothing you guys feel like you can't do.
That's incredible. And yeah, you're right. As soon as people are eager to help us.
Yeah, I mean across the board. I mean, I think about all of the business leaders that are part of Job Creators Network. I can't imagine one that if you were to reach out to them and say, we're involved with Job Creators Network, spoke to Alfredo, looking for some assistance, I'm sure they'd be willing to help.
Wow. So JCN is engaged in promoting entrepreneurship, and this generation especially seems very, very into that. What advice would you have for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, again, passionate about what you're doing, right? You gotta love what you're doing. Believe in what you're doing. You are going to have to take certain risks, and not everything's going to succeed. And when you look at the success and failure rate of new businesses, only 10% of those ideas actually succeed. So already off the bat, you're probably going to have a 90% failure rate working against you. You got to understand that and learn that. Kind of have what I call the personality to be able to absorb those kinds of risks and being able to take. It's a stressful situation. I mean, I had my own small business. I can't tell you how many times on a 2-week basis payroll was coming up. I didn't have enough to meet all the payroll if I included myself, so I would have to exclude myself. I'd cover my employees, but I wouldn't take cash in that time, that payroll. So it's a stressful situation, but you just got to believe in what you're doing. That's a great idea. Have right backers, have the right people advising you. A lot of people will sometimes say you can't do things, right? And you just have to believe that you can. But they should be well thought out as well, and understand the marketplace, your customers, the challenges and the risks that exist. And once you've got that laid out and you feel like you've got a pretty good handle on that, go for it.
Great. So finally, how can students who are interested and passionate about this mission get involved with?
Sure. Yeah. A couple different ways. So we've got a couple websites, jobcreatorsnetwork.com, and they can go and sign there. Or informationstation.org is another one. That houses all of our videos and all of our employer-to-employee education content. The other thing is we actually have an app you can do the Android downloads or App Store and get that right on your phone. Gets all the different notifications from informationstation.org on how these policies. We got videos. We have kitchen table economic newsletters. A lot of different great collateral. And I would ask each and every single student to be able to download that. To go download it would be doing us a huge favor, referring that to 10 of their friends. We're excited, right? We're getting our social media content numbers up significantly, and so this really helps being able to ask students to do that.
Of course. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to share or mention, or?
We're excited just about being involved with the King's College and their mission and what they're doing. We're hoping that we have a great partnership that's forming here. We're excited to have the head Greg being part of our organization as well. He's going to be helping us on an education initiative we're kicking off this year, and we're excited. I mean, we want to have more student involvement as much as possible. Like I said, I think every single student on this campus can help us they know either through their parents or friends of parents, or through when they go out and they start a job. I mean, they hear about it, right? Start kind of spreading this message out, because we really do have to do something about what's happening in this country, and I think every single person should believe that they can make a difference.